Every second, thousands of digital data packets move rapidly across the global network to deliver bulk and transactional email. When you first set up your infrastructure, early-stage sending is highly affordable, but crossing the threshold into hundreds of thousands of sends completely flips the financial math. Legacy email platforms apply a hidden tax the moment your business actually achieves scale. The first version of this is the storage tax. Platforms will bill you for storing inert contacts on your list, even if those specific users receive 0 emails in a given month. The second version is the API tier tax. This occurs when providers charge massive premiums solely to unlock basic deliverability and list hygiene tools. WMail unbundles those exact features from top-tier plans and strictly ties your billing to the actual volume of emails you send. Tracking cost versus scale reveals 3 trajectories. One curves exponentially as lists grow. Another takes vertical steps for pro upgrades. WMail's baseline remains flat, driven by send volume. At that inflection point, an exponential cost gap opens against legacy platforms. The central dilemma for your team is determining if the monthly financial upside of switching is high enough to justify the operational friction of a full infrastructure migration. Most businesses eventually build a massive audience list, but they only send targeted campaigns to a fraction of those users at any one time. List-based pricing financially punishes user acquisition. You are taxed on the size of your database rather than how often you utilize it. The alternative is a strictly per-email sent billing model. Under a send-based structure, you can store well over 100,000 subscribers without any financial penalty, provided you aren't emailing all of them on every send. This comparison matrix breaks down the exact monthly cost of sending 1 million emails. MailChimp comes in at $977 or more, while WMail handles that exact same volume for €499. Push that volume to 1.5 million sends, and the price gap widens significantly as the legacy tier structures compound. There is a trade-off to understand. Hyper-frequent senders must closely monitor their rates, as volume-based pricing will climb if an entire massive list is emailed daily. But if you execute targeted, infrequent campaigns, paying to store inert contacts is a flawed way to manage your budget. High-volume transactional and marketing senders face a different hurdle when they rely on email APIs for scale. This visual analogy explains sender reputation. A shared IP environment is like a crowded multi-lane highway where different colored cars, representing different senders, all mix. A dedicated IP is a private single-lane toll road strictly for your traffic. On that shared highway, one erratic driver can cause a traffic jam. Utilizing a shared IP blends your organization's sender reputation with the behaviors of potentially bad actors on the same server. Legacy API platforms exploit your need for reputation protection by gating access to dedicated IPs behind expensive pro or enterprise tiers. The alternative approach unbundles the dedicated IP, turning it into a flat €25 monthly add-on available on any tier. Securing a dedicated IP requires its own operational trade-off. You must possess consistent, high-volume sending habits to keep the IP properly warm. Migrating to a dedicated IP prematurely, without sufficient volume consistency, will actually damage your inbox placement. Dedicated IPs are critical for high-volume scale, but securing one should not require an artificial enterprise-level upgrade. Then we have the stitched stack operator, a business that uses a cheap API for sending, but pays separately for list cleaning, templates, and analytics tools. This flowchart maps out the fragmented nature of an email architecture built by patching together multiple third-party tools around a central API node. Consolidating these external functions into a single platform engine entirely changes your architectural footprint. By pulling hygiene internally, a consolidated platform automatically cleans millions of rows of CSV imports and blocks risky addresses before you send. It also provides active deliverability protections. Continuous health checks run every 5 minutes, and defer not relay logic prevents your system from sending on a blacklisted route. The required trade-off here is raw control. Adopting a consolidated platform means sacrificing the extreme ground-up customizability of a raw, bare-bones API. For most teams, however, built-in automation saves valuable engineering hours and entirely replaces the hidden cost of deliverability babysitting. The final decision to migrate comes down to a strict mathematical calculation, comparing your monthly financial savings against immediate migration effort. Moving requires high-friction tasks, exporting contact lists, updating DNS records, and rewriting your API webhooks. This split-screen matrix provides a two-sided evaluation criteria, separating the businesses that must migrate from those that should stay put. The primary migration candidates are senders pushing hundreds of thousands of emails per month who are fatigued by legacy API costs. You should also migrate if you have a massive, steadily growing list but only send a few targeted campaigns monthly. On the stay-put side, low-volume senders should remain where they are. The marginal monthly savings simply do not justify the friction of migration. Enterprise teams with deeply hard-coded legacy API integrations should also stay put. The development costs to rewrite those systems would heavily outweigh any sending savings. The true value of moving off a legacy platform is securing a cheaper per-email rate while reclaiming the enterprise-level deliverability tools that were previously paywalled. Audit your current infrastructure bill to distinguish between charges for passive storage versus active sending. Endure the friction of an email infrastructure migration only when the mathematical reality of your operational scale strictly demands it.